Hello, welcome back to the channel. All right, it's been a minute, but I've been gone for a little while, but the life has been lifing. But I'm here for another video, and the video that I want to make today was basically my thoughts on Natlin 5.0, Genshin 5.0, and what it means for the future, right? And basically just answer the question of should you continue to play Genshin, not should you start playing Genshin, right? Because the reason why I'm going for should you continue is because usually the answer to the question of should you start playing Genshin is you should at least give it a try, right? Especially now in 5.0, there's so much content in the game that despite my critiques of the game, despite my harsh critiques of the game, I do think that the game is still worth a try because just because I'm critical of the game doesn't mean you should be. Right, you can enjoy the game for what it is. I can enjoy the game. We can enjoy the game for different reasons, right? And usually my critiques are for people who've played the game for like at least a year plus, right? If you're brand new, you're probably gonna love the game. Everything's new to you. Plus, there's so much content in the game now in 5.0 that as long as you're not playing like 16 hours a day, you probably have enough content to last you until like 5.6. if you don't play like 6 hours a day, right? If you starting now, right? Which is why I'm looking into the question of should you continue to play the game, should you continue to invest in Genshin Impact, right? So like I'm just thinking of when looking at the pros, the cons, how the game state is now, what the game state should be, what the game state should look like, those types of things, right? Basically just my thoughts on what 5.0 has done for Genshin, right? And we're gonna talk. Let's jump right into it. We're gonna talk about the good things, right? Because despite my critiques of the game, there are good things that have come out now, right? So the first thing I want to talk about is the characters. Now the Natlin characters are some of the most interesting characters that have been released in Genshin, hands down. No question about it. Hands down, without a doubt, the Natlin characters, Mualani, Kanish, they are the most interesting characters that have been released, at least in my opinion, ever. Because the movement, the way you move around with them, Mualani's way surfing on the shark, the way Kanish locks onto the enemy and circles around them, it adds a layer of depth to the combat. It adds the movement mechanics. They're the most interesting characters, hands down, in my opinion. I won't lie, the characters from like Mondstadt, Inazuma, even Sumeru, they have gone like fairly stagnant. They all played the same way, which is you just use them in rotation, use their ability, what have you, depending on whether the support DPS, things like that. But you're constantly using them in like normal rotation, right? But with like Mualani and Kanish, and presumably future Natlin characters, the movement mechanics, because apparently Natlin is the nation of dance, right? The movement mechanics of these Natlin characters, it's very fun. I'm not gonna lie. It is very fun. Kanish is very fucking cool. The way he like swings around and the animations, like it is very cool. Also some other pros is they did say that at some point that 5.0 was gonna get a graphical upgrade. Like the game was going to look better in 5.0, and I do agree. I do think it does look slightly better. Nothing major. Like I wouldn't say it's a massive difference. Like if you weren't paying attention or if they didn't announce it, you probably wouldn't have noticed. But especially cutscenes, like animated cutscenes, they do look pretty decent. They do look fairly better in my opinion, with shading and lighting and the way it's animated. And also, I think Kanish is actually a perfect example as to why is actually perfect proof as to how they've updated the game to make it look better. Because Ahau or Aja, however the fuck you say his name, the fucking Digimon that he walks around with, it's very odd because he's full on 2D. He's like pixelated, but he's in a 3D environment, so it's very like odd seeing him. Yeah, there he is. It's very odd seeing him walking around with the Kanish, but they have a cool dynamic. Plus, it is very interesting. Hold up. Did he have an asshole? I swear to God, he had an asshole. Anyways, off topic. Off topic. The point is, the game does look better. Nothing major. I wouldn't say it's a massive upgrade. You probably wouldn't notice unless they made an announcement. But they did add some new facial animations. They did add some new things to the game to make it look better. So that is definitely a pro. But as for the pros, I think that's about where it comes to an end. Actually, no. The one last pro is I do think the storytelling has gotten a lot better. One thing I've always said about Genshin is, yeah, there it is. One thing I've always said about Genshin is Genshin has the best story told the worst way, right? In my opinion, Genshin has the most interesting story of all the big gachas right now. I think it's more interesting than Wuthering Waves at the moment. That could change, but right now, at the moment, as of this video, I do think Genshin Impact's story is more interesting than Wuthering Waves. I do think it's more interesting than Zenless Zone Zeros. I do think it's slightly above Honkai Star Rail. That's mainly due to a part that Honkai Star Rail Penacony was good, and the ending was cinematic, but Jesus Christ, most of Penacony was a fucking yap fest. So honestly, Penacony was like I give Penacony like a 7 out of 10, and 3 points of that 7 is due to the ending only. Penacony was such a yap fest. But yeah, currently I think Genshin Impact has the most interesting story, but it's just told the worst way. And really, the story is, honestly, it's sad to say, but the story is better told by YouTubers like Ashikai. But that's just what it is. But the point is that, like, as a 5.0, I do think the storytelling and the pacing has gotten better. I do think they're better at portraying the story, better at showing, not telling. I do think they've gotten slightly better at that. And also something they've gotten better at is Paimon is, I mean, I've never really found Paimon to be that annoying, but I do find that she's less annoying. She's gotten less and less annoying as time has progressed, especially since Fontaine. At least in my opinion, people might disagree with that, but at least in my opinion, I do think Paimon has gotten less and less talkative, less and less annoying. Especially in 5.0. But no, that's very subjective. That depends on whether or not you like that's very dependent on whether you like Paimon or not. But that's basically the point. I think that's essentially where the pros end. Now we're getting into the cons, and there's quite a few of them. And yeah, it's kind of a laundry list. All right, the first one being are the new mechanics. Let's actually talk about probably the biggest one, the new wishing mechanic that they put for 5.0, the capturing radiance. Right now, the reason why this is a massive con for me, and the reason why this is a massive con is because of, let's keep it real, the level of deception the Genshin devs had with announcing this. Right, let's just keep it 100% real. Right, when they announced the whole capturing radiance thing on the 5.0 live stream, I found it so odd to me the way they explained it, because they could have just said, hey, capturing radiance will increase the likelihood of you getting your 5-star by like 2% or 5%. They could have just said that, but they went about this weird way of trying to explain it that left everyone confused, right? And then before 5.0 released, people kind of came to the conclusion that it was, instead of 50-50, it was a 55-45. That's kind of the conclusion people came to before 5.0 released. And people were like, okay, if that's the case, then that's a good thing, increase your odds. It is what it is, right? But then after 5.0 released, people started noticing that, like, no one was really getting the capturing radiance. Like, no one really got it. And people started to wonder why. And then once people looked into it, it turns out that the capturing radiance has a pity system. So the way it works, right? The way it works is essentially you have to lose the 50-50, I believe, twice. I could be wrong on that. It's either once or twice, but you have to lose the 50-50 in order to get the chance of getting capturing radiance. So essentially, it's the weapon banner. It's the old weapon banner, but for characters. That's essentially what it is. It's the old weapon banner, or the current weapon banner, whatever, however you want to say it, but for now the characters. So now you have to lose a 50-50, and it's even if you think about it, it's even worse than weapon banner, because at least even when you lost a 50-50 twice, you were guaranteed to get the weapon. It's still not good, don't get me wrong. It's not good at all. It's the worst weapon banner of all the games. It's not good at all. Let me make that absolutely clear. But at the very least, it was guaranteed when you lost. With this, even if you lose, it's still not guaranteed. You lose to get the chance of getting capturing radiance. So you can still lose the 50-50 even if you reach the pity. That's the worst thing about it. And it just goes to show that the level, like the Genshin devs, you really cannot take what they say at face value, because they always have some roundabout way of doing things, right? The Genshin devs, like, I really try not to shit on them, but like they always do this thing where they always show that they're either incompetent or they just blatantly disregard what the players want, right? And the reason why this is such a massive thing for me now, especially, is because in the 5.0, the biggest thing about the whole 5.0 live stream was them constantly saying about how much they're listening to us, they're implementing what we're asking for. Yet, oh my gosh, we're gonna get into more of that, right? It just like, they'll implement what we ask for, but in the worst way possible. It's so annoying, right? The second worst thing about like the second con that I'm gonna talk about right now is this thing right here. This thing is Genshin's version of, you know, the artifact manipulator or manufacturer, right? The thing that lets you create your artifact with the stats that you need, right? Like with Honkai Star Rail, right? It was the I forgot what it was called, but when you use it, you can craft the relic that you need with a specific main stat, right? And then with Zenless Zone Zero, you have that as well. Now they implemented it in Genshin as well, right? And everybody was happy with that. It's a good thing, right? And then the way they explained it in the live stream, it made it sound like it was the best one out of all three, because when they explained it, they essentially said that you could choose the main stat and those two substats, right? So essentially, if you farmed enough, you could get a goblet with the right elemental damage bonus that you needed, plus crit rate and crit damage, right? You could essentially guarantee that you would get that goblet. But once again, this is the Genshin devs. They left out the part that in order to gain this thing that you need, right? Where is it? In order to gain this thing that you need, right, which is sanctifying elixir, right? In order to gain that, you have to sacrifice relics that you've already leveled up. And this is a plus 20 relic, and it only gives you 1/3 of one that you need. Meanwhile, in order to pick a goblet, like let's say a goblet with a main stat and the two substats, you need 4. So that means one level 20 artifact will give you 1/3 of one. 1/3. It's actually kind of leaving me breathless or speechless. Breathless. It's leaving me speechless how bad they implemented it, right? And it's just it makes me question why. It really makes you question why they explain the things why they do the things they do, because they could have just implemented the exact same thing with Honkai Star Rail, which it was just pick the main stat, and we would have been fine with that. But they tried to go the extra mile, but then by them going the extra mile, they made it worse. It's shocking to me, right? So that's just another one of the cons, right? And this is really just to sink it home that when it comes to the Genshin devs, you really cannot take what they say at face value. You have to, whenever they show something in the live stream, you have to wait until the live patch before you can actually give full judgment on it, right? Because they've proven time and time again that they don't really listen to us. I mean, look at the artifact loadouts. How many times have people said that we want artifact loadouts? Just give us a loadout. Let us set the right artifacts that we want on it. Let us set our artifacts we want on that loadout, so that way we can just quick swap and put it on the characters. Then once again, they did that, but in the worst way possible, Now, now it's not even you pick your own artifacts. The game will just randomly select it for you, and it's just, oh my gosh, it's just one thing after another. But that's essentially the con of that. Next, I want to say the next con. This is more of a personal one. All right, this is more of our personal. This is very subjective. All right, this is more of a subjective con. Right, and that is they haven't really done anything different to encourage exploration. Now, what do I mean by this? Right, I remember I talked about this. I think I talked about this in the live stream where there's really no point in exploring. There's no like there's no, what's the word I'm looking for? There's no incentive to really explore other than primo gems, right? That's usually the incentive. Sure, you can make the argument that if you want to, you can make the argument that like the exploration for lore, right? The lore of the land, the lore of Natland, you learn that from exploration. You can make the argument, and that I'd say that's a very fair argument, but that's not majority of the people. Majority of people are not exploring for lore. Majority of people are exploring to scrape away as many primo gems as they can get, so they can save for the Pyro Archon. That's essentially what it is, right? And you know, I've said it before, like it's very easy to give us some incentive. Just add some rewards that can only be obtained through exploration, right? Say like a 4-star weapon, even a 5-star weapon. It doesn't have to be great. Like imagine you can get a 5-star weapon only through exploration in Natland, right? Or let's say they don't want to do a 4-star weapon or a 5-star weapon. Okay, put a 4-star weapon. Give like a good 4-star weapon, right? Imagine if back in Inazuma, right? In order to get the catch, you had to get 100% exploration in like Kanazuka, right? Like in order to get the catch, you have to have 100% exploration here. That's the only way you can get the catch. And then to get the refinements, you have to get 100 exploration here, 100 exploration here, 100 exploration here, 100 exploration here, right? Let's say in order to get the catch, you have to get 100% exploration in order to get the catch R5, right? Imagine the only way to get the catch R5 is to get 100% exploration in like all of Inazuma, right? That would be very good incentive for people to explore other than just primo gems, because the catch is a good weapon. It's a very good weapon. Even if it's only a 4-star, it's a very good weapon. So that would be enough for people to go and explore Inazuma 100%, right? I almost 100% Inazuma because Inazuma is my favorite region. After Inazuma, I kind of just stopped caring about exploration. As you can see, I progressively get lower and lower. And then over to Natland, I haven't explored even a little bit. This is more of a personal grab where there's not really that much of an incentive to explore other than primo gems, right? That's more of a personal thing. That's very subjective. That's more of like a me thing, right? If you don't agree with that, I totally agree with. I can totally see why. Like I can understand why, but that's really a me thing, right? But that's basically about it for the cons, right? And it's just about weighing the pros and cons about the state of Genshin right now, right? And honestly, the state of Genshin right now, at least in my opinion, right, as of 5.0, it's good, but that's usually the case for a new region patch, right? Where the 0.0 patches are pretty good because you have a whole new region, you have all this new content all at once. It's a good state, right? The real question is, how's the game state going to be in like 5.4, 5.5, 5.6? Because those are usually the worst patches because there's no region update, there's no there's usually reruns of characters. It's like those are usually the worst patches. So the question is, what's the game state going to be looking like there? And that's why I say, should you continue to play Genshin, right? Now, to answer the question, at least for me, right? And that is, should you continue to invest in Genshin? No, okay. Let's ask two questions. And that's, should you invest in Genshin? Should you continue to invest in Genshin, which is, you know, spend money, get the battle pass, things like that? Or should you continue to play Genshin? Right? Those are two different questions, right? So let's look at, should you invest in Genshin? No. Honestly, I shouldn't even use the word invest. You're wasting your money if you spend your money on this game. I shouldn't even use the word invest. Investing means that implies that you're going to get some sort of return. You're not returning anything with Genshin. You're spending your money on anime titties. It's a waste of money. As long as you understand that, then it's your money to spend. But no, you shouldn't continue to, you know, spend money on the game, right? That's just my opinion, right? Obviously, if you want to get the character that you really want, sure, drop a 20, drop a 40, sure, it is what it is. But always, always, always spend within your means. Do not go fucking crazy, right? That's essentially what it is. So should you continue to invest? No, because you're not investing, you're wasting your money as soon as you spend it on this game. But should you continue to play Genshin, right? That's the question. Should you continue to play Genshin? And I think the answer to me for that is only if you're interested in the story, right? That's only if at this point you're invested in the story of Genshin. That's the only reason why you should continue to play, at least in my opinion, because there's really no incentive to play anything else in Genshin, right? As you can see, I haven't even touched Spiral Abyss or Imaginarium Theater, right? And that's essentially because Wuthering Waves and Zenless Zone Zero has completely fucked combat for Genshin for me. It really has. I no longer get excited to play the combat in this game. I really don't. Like before Zenless Zone Zero and Wuthering Waves, I was like, I can understand why people don't like the Spiral Abyss, but I still enjoy it, right? I still enjoyed going to Spiral Abyss and playing it. After Zenless Zone Zero and Wuthering Waves, I couldn't be bothered. The Zenless Zone Zero and Wuthering Waves ruins Genshin's combat for me. When I try to come back, I can't. I don't enjoy it anymore. I really can't. So, no, that's why, at least for me, I would say if you're going to continue to play Genshin, only do it for the story. Don't really do it for anything else, because, you know, even though I said the characters, the new Nalain characters like Kanish and Muani, they are fun. Don't get me wrong. They are fun. They are interesting, and the way they're designed is very unique. But that will not completely fix the underlying issue of Genshin's base combat being very bad. Or that's essentially what it is, right? So obviously get the characters you want within your means, but if you're getting them for like meta or combat or whatever, I think you're fucking up there. I honestly do. I think you're fucking up there. I think you should only get the character because you want them, or you can have some kind of fun with them, right? Or like they're like maybe something in their kit makes them somewhat more enjoyable than like other characters. I think that's the reason why I should get those characters. But yeah, apart from that, you really should not be pulling for any other characters for any other reason other than you just like them. But that's essentially how I feel about 5.0 with Genshin. Is should you continue to play it only if you're invested in the story. If you don't really like the story, right? If Genshin is like those games where it's like you're not interested in the story, but you like exploring. Yeah, I can understand that as well. But once again, Wuthering Waves has kind of a ruined exploration for me in Genshin, because Genshin just feels so much slower than Wuthering Waves. Because Wuthering Waves exploration is just so much better with the movement that they have. But yeah, that's really the only reason. That's really the only reason you should be playing Genshin, is if you're invested in the story or you just really like the exploration. Those are really the only two reasons why you should be continue to play Genshin. Other than that, I foresee, if you're playing this game for any other reason than the story, I foresee you getting very, very angry with this game in like 5.5, right? Unless they make significant changes, right? Which I highly doubt that they will. I foresee the same people who are mad about I foresee the same people who are mad about the 3 years for 3 wishes. I foresee those same people being very angry in like 5.5, right? Because, you know, that's usually how it goes. They do the story for like for the 0.0 to the 0.2. Well, I guess now it's the 0.3. But then after that, they just blatantly disregard the entire story, filler patch after filler patch after filler patch until Snezhnaya. That's essentially how it's gonna happen. So I foresee the same people who like got mad back in like 4.5 to be even angrier or just as mad in 5.5. That's my prediction, right? Unless they make significant changes, but I highly doubt that's gonna happen. But yeah, that's just how I feel about it. Maybe you feel differently. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm the asshole. It is what it is. I'm totally fine with people disagreeing with me, but that's just how I feel. I feel like if you play this game for anything other than the story, you're gonna be very angry you're gonna be very angry at this game in like 5 months. That's essentially what I'm thinking is gonna happen. But yeah, that's just how I feel. Um, I am excited to see how they're gonna continue Natlin. I think the story in Natlin is very good so far. But yeah, that's just how I feel about it. Let me know if you feel any different. I'm totally I'm actually very curious. See you guys in the next one.